This is the Real Estate Marketing Minute, the show dedicated to helping real estate agents get to the next level of success. Featuring experts on topics that agents want to know about and providing tips for marketing smarter so that you can create a brand that attracts more clients and more referrals. The Real Estate Marketing Minute podcast is brought to you by Agent Sauce, the leading real estate marketing platform for high-performing agents. This is the Real Estate Marketing Minute.
Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Marketing Minute. I'm your host, Adam Small, and with us today we have Miss Kimberly Small.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well, thanks. And today in the studio we have Theresa Drake and Melissa Barnett from Clear to Close Cleaning Services. Hi guys, how are you?
Good, how are you doing today?
We're doing great.
Great. We are doing well ourselves. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Clear to Close and how they work with agents and kind of make their lives easier in the whole closing process and buying and selling process, I should say. So before we get started, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got into doing what you're doing first?
Sure. So I originally started in this market as an insurance agent. So I have a marketing and sales background, done that for years and years. And I found myself as a broker for a large company for a bit and traveling a lot and missing out on a lot of my kids' school and sporting events. So I thought, okay, how can I take this sphere of influence that I have already and my kind of natural market and blend that into something that I'll enjoy doing that will still bring service to the community that's needed. And I can get to baseball. So
and still make it to baseball on time.
Right. Very important. So Clear to Close Cleaning was born. And so now we help agents on another end of things to get clients to the closing table.
Same clientele, just a different aspect, right?
Absolutely.
Great. And Melissa, how about you?
So I actually also have a background in marketing. I actually came from this industry. So we marketed for home improvement companies, the construction workers, the cleaners, all of them. So when I met Theresa, I just started kind of working for her and it turned into this, I think between the two of us, she's got a lot of knowledge. Mm-hmm. I understand this world pretty well. And it's just been really cool to watch her do what she's doing. And it's kind of brought me into a deeper game with her. So,
right. Nice. Very nice. So, from a kind of draw parallels, right? Stagers will come in and they'll help potential buyers envision what a space could look like, right? That's their job, is to walk into a place and set it up so that when somebody walks in, they go, wow, I could live here. I can see this, right? Because a lot of people have a hard time visualizing. So how does what you do kind of play into the same thing insofar as helping real estate agents, sell a listing?
Sure. So, the first thing you want to do is make everything super presentable. Like you said, people want to envision living in that space.
Right.
So if I walk into a home that, maybe someone has rented out for the last 5 years and no one's cleaned the shower door that entire time.
Right.
If I can't see through the glass, I also can't see myself in that shower.
You're going to see the dirt, basically, is what you're saying, right?
Absolutely. So we just try to make it as homey as possible. The stagers make it look like, okay, that's a great spot and very warm and welcoming. But you can't do that if you've got dirty fixtures or what have you. So we pay attention to the details that as someone at some point will notice.
Right.
So just to make it warm and welcoming.
So along those lines, when is the right time to actually call you?
We have crews on call pretty much all the time. So we've got people on standby, but I would say a good window of time to give us is a week at least.
Before you start showing the place?
Right. So that way we can get in, usually we get in a day or two before actually photos are taken or stagers come in. That's kind of the ideal time. Mm-hmm. Now, not to say we haven't, pulled some strings and done some last minute favors.
Right.
And we've actually come in behind a few cleaning companies recently that have just pulled out of the cleaning entirely because they don't do drywall dust or that type of thing.
Okay.
So, we have kind of an emergency service available for those cases.
Okay. And so you kind of mentioned that you do different types of cleaning jobs. So what types of cleaning jobs do you do?
We have crews available for just light duty maid service on a recurring basis, all the way to full estate and foreclosure trash outs. So we kind of do it all. We do commercial and residential cleaning.
So like the hoarder thing, you guys go in and clean up after that as well?
We do.
It's kind of a challenge though, because it's pretty fun, right? So you get to teach people how to organize. So you look at that Marie Kondo, is that her name?
Right.
And it's sort of that same concept, right? And that goes back to your original question. How do you get people to see through that, right? And it's kind of talking them through that process. I feel like Theresa does a really good job. I mean, both of us kind of, we give them tips. We've got this one teenager we were pretty excited about. She just was kind of just a messy teenager, and
aren't all of them?
Yeah, exactly. So we sort of were prepared for it. We just, we were hoping that by our continuously organizing for her, and then, our last trip out to their house, magic. She had organized herself. We were like high-fiving her when she came home. It was pretty exciting. So
cool. Very cool. So now do you do both commercial and residential, or just one or the other?
We do it all. We clean a couple of realtors' offices on occasion here in the South Side. And then we also have taken on some projects such as large construction cleanups after, banks and retail establishments have been constructed by larger builders. So we get into some of that, but I would say our real kind of our meat and potatoes of everything is the vacant home that someone is getting ready to list.
Okay.
So whether it's a flip, someone has gutted, or, a rental situation where it's going on the market. But I mean, we work with, the realtors, the investors, property managers. And so that is kind of our target, but there's nothing that we'll turn away if we can possibly do it. So
always take the work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, and also with that, to kind of piggyback off, everybody's obsessed with those flip houses on TV.
Right.
And my kids have asked me about what I do. And I'm like, well, we watch TV. We watch them flip these houses. We're the ones that come in so that it looks like that. And so if you ideally want that kind of finish when you're going to list your house, you got to bring that crew in to get that nitty gritty dust that, construction crews aren't specialized to always clean up perfectly.
Right. They may wipe it down, but there's a whole lot of streaks left over.
But if you want that TV finish, you got to have the people that specialize in that type of cleanup. So it's pretty cool.
Exactly. That's actually probably a really great way to put that, because I can wipe it down, but it's not going to come out. Believe me, I'm not good at it.
Yeah, exactly. And we all dream and wish to have those types of homes.
Right.
That's why we watch it, right?
Right.
And so when you bring in that team, that's what gives it that final push over the edge.
So that kind of leads us into, what sets you guys apart? What makes you different from other cleaning companies? Obviously, the finish is one thing there. You guys said that you do certain jobs that others won't. So maybe you could expand on that, or point out a couple other things that set you guys apart.
Sure. I would say the biggest one we've found as of late is simply the drywall dust coating everything on a post-construction. That's been our way into a lot of these jobs. There's a lot of great maid services out there. I don't take anything away from anyone else. They're doing a great job.
Right.
And it's beautiful when they're done, but it may be too much for their 1 or 2 person crew that they would send out to handle.
They won't do the drywall dust.
Right. A lot of them will decline those.
Stuff. Yeah.
Right. And that's what I'm finding. Whereas we send in a crew of 5 or 6 people for a day, and really spend a lot of time on that detailed work.
It's amazing where that drywall dust will get.
Oh, definitely.
We recently had our bathroom redone, and we're finding it on the other side of the house through doorways and hallways and everything. It's
exactly.
And we've cleaned it all, wiped it all down and everything, and yet we still find spots here and there where it's like, how is this there?
Right.
So yeah, it's
we definitely
amazing.
take care of that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, we handle anything from light duty to full trash out. We've got different crews set up for different types of jobs.
Right.
So I employ some veterans that have, quite frankly, seen a little bit of everything in their experience and aren't at all squeamish. That's my
more
crew.
for your hoarder type, right?
Yeah, there's
For
military
the
guys
type
can take some stuff on though.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've got people that are kind of specialized in each area.
Right.
Where we try to assign those people to specific jobs to give the most efficiency and the best customer experience.
Right.
So ultimately, we get a feel for exactly what is the scope of work you need for us to do, and then let's assign the correct people for that in a timely manner.
Okay.
And to piggyback off what Theresa's saying, because I tend to boast on her a little bit, but something that I really value coming into it, because she's built this up, and coming in and watching it from a homeowner standpoint, some of the things she genuinely talks about is that genuine relationship she's building. And it's more than just the dollar amount. We kind of joke often because we find ourselves constantly going back because we are not willing to walk away just because of time, right? We want to make sure that they're getting that need met that they have. And she goes out and she investigates with them, figures out what that need is, where they're lacking, and how she can help improve and better their life. So I think that's just invaluable. So it's pretty cool.
So service really sets you apart. It's not just the cleaning, it's the service, making sure that it's done
Oh
right.
yeah, she wants. I mean, it's about that long-term, genuine connection with the people that we're working with.
Right. Great.
So
and we do guarantee our work. So if there's something, unsatisfactory at the job, which we hope there never is,
right?
But let's face it, everyone's human. You might have a thing or two come up, and we will come out and we will make it right.
Right, and that's probably one of the most important things to acknowledge. We're not perfect, but we're going to try to make it perfect. If we didn't get it where you wanted it to be, we'll come back. We'll do it right. And that goes for any industry. Yeah. Honestly, I think that a lot of companies have lost sight of that.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And we address that as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So whether that's same day or next day, but I mean, we will absolutely get on whatever's needed to make sure that we're at 100%, rating with our customers.
Right. So, we've talked about kind of your services and stuff. How do you go about figuring out what somebody should pay? Can you give some examples of how you estimate, or, square footage or cubic footage maybe?
Right.
So how do you guys go about doing that?
Every job is bid a little bit differently,
right? Because
of the different needs. So, the light duty maid services, we typically have an hourly price for a crew. We provide all the supplies. We bring in everything that's needed, unless the homeowner has specific requirements for, I like XYZ cleaner, and I will provide that for you, or anything like that. Now, we don't use anything really harsh. Of course, bleach is our friend at a hoarder house, but but we definitely, we have an hourly, and then we have kind of a per square foot pricing that we'll do for post-construction. We've got some a la carte items that can be added, like windows, blinds, that type of thing. So it just kind of depends on the scope of work that's needed. So for the foreclosure trash outs, we'll be thinking about, okay, what are our dump fees going to be? Do we have to get a dumpster? What does that look like? Right. So, and then at that point, you're talking about cubic feet of, garbage that has to be thrown out.
Right. Okay. So really it's just different per job, and based on the extensiveness of it. Is it a complete trash out, which is what I think you called it, or is it just, hey, we're coming in, twice a month and we're just cleaning the place up a little bit, right?
Right, exactly. So, okay. And a lot of times we like to do a walkthrough, just to make sure that we are on the same page with everyone. Right. Sometimes time doesn't permit for that, so then you just have to throw out, okay, send me some photos, and here's the square foot price that we're going to go with. Right. So we're more than willing to do that if time constraint is an issue.
Which goes back to that genuine like the flexibility comes into going out, finding out what their needs are, having a conversation. Right. That's the goal, is to make sure, because it's your life we're walking in on, right? So it's hard to bring someone in, at exact times for this and that. So it boils down to, what are your needs? How can we meet those needs? Even if that's the initial conversation that we have to be flexible with, we're willing to do that.
Okay.
So in talking to a lot of agents, approaching the subject that a client's property is not quite ready to either be listed or for an open house or any of those things can be really tough. Do you have any suggestions for agents as they're broaching that subject with their clients, and how they can convey that a service like yours is going to help them in marketing their house and getting top dollar?
Sure. Well, I think that's always going to be a touchy subject. And no matter what advice I give, that will continue to be touchy. Yeah. But, I think of it like this. If I am renting a hotel room for the night or the weekend, I want to walk in there and not see anybody else's, filth, I guess, right?
For lack of a better term.
Exactly. So, when you walk into a hotel, and the first thing you do typically is inspect the bathroom and the bedding and how clean is it, right? So, that potential buyer is walking through your home having not lived in it previously, and your filth. Let's maybe find a better term for that. But basically your daily living activities result in, hey, you might have soap scum on your shower door. Right. Everybody has it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We've got hard water in Indiana. What are you going to do about it? Right. But as the buyer, potential buyer walking in, do they see that? And can we maybe make that sparkle a little more?
Right.
You know, when you buy a new car, they take it through the car wash, right? I
Right.
mean, they're not giving you a dusty car. And when you drive off that lot, you want a shiny, nice new car. And you want a shiny, nice new home. So let us help you do that.
Right. Right.
Well, and that's a great analogy because basically you can change the whole experience. You walk into a hotel room and, you know, there's dirt on the toilet or on the sink or something like that. That changes your whole impression of not only your room, the whole hotel and everything else. And chances are you're going to want a different room, not even just to have somebody come in there because you want to believe that you're the only one that's been in that hotel room.
Yeah, the idea is quick, I want out of here,
Yes.
right? You don't want the people to say, oh man, I want out. You know, you want them to say, my gosh, like I could picture myself here and look, I'm touching it so I can sit here and it's not dirty for me to touch,
Right,
you know?
right.
So allow them the ability to have that full home experience. And again, go back to those TV shows.
Mhm.
Why do you think people walk through those houses after they're done and they're like, oh my gosh, oh my God. I mean, they get that full feel of a brand new house.
Right.
So
And that's always a challenge for agents is getting to their clients to transition from this is no longer your home once you decide to sell it. So you need to think about the people that are going through it and think about it from their visual standpoint and what they are going to want to see versus what they'll overlook and all of those things. So that's kind of a hard transition for people to go through when they're thinking about buying or selling and that kind of stuff. So how can agents prepare their clients for having a service like yours done? What are some of the things that they can tell them?
Well, so, I mean, if they plan on having a very thorough cleaning, and if they are vacating the property before listing, you know, obviously as much of their contents as they can have out as possible before we get there is very helpful. The less we have to clean around or move, the more efficient we can be and the more thorough we can be. Unless, of course, they have hired us to clean everything out, you know, but if we're just going in for a final deep clean pre-listing or what have you, I would say just, you know, get the clutter out of the way. That's the ideal thing, is just be ready for us to come in with a clean slate and give it a final sparkle.
And the reality is that would probably apply to anybody that's going in to clean, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Just to make the job easier to get where you need to be without and less time consuming. Too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And I would say the other big thing in preparing for us is just give us your set of expectations and let's be realistic with what can get done in a day. You know, but I want to make sure we're on the same page with each and every client.
Well, and that comes back to what you were saying earlier, is just making sure, like you do the walk-in and setting the expectation and you're all on the same page and all that, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you ever make multiple visits to like a listing? Like you never know. Sometimes a showing can only have a couple hours notice, but yeah, usually like an open house, you have several days ahead of time that people will know. Do you ever go back to listings and kind of prep them for those, or kind of have a package of
I would say it's happened on occasion.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely don't say no. Now, unfortunately, we have to charge for each visit.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there have been cases where even where, for instance, a contractor has come in to do small repairs after we've been in to clean, and it creates more of a mess. And so we'll have to come in and re-clean, that type of thing. So, you know, and, you know, maybe it's been a couple weeks and now the bathrooms are dirty again. And so maybe just a couple things need touched by us at that point. But like I said, that's why we are kind of per service, per hour. We can structure it however it fits.
Well, and I think that goes back to what she was saying about expectations as well. You know, realtors should have that expectation set up, right? That, okay, let's make sure all of our construction crews are out, you know, and that way we're not having to come back because, you know, they're hanging construction crews doing last minute stuff. And that way when they have their interior designers come in to stage, you know, they're not having to worry about us coming in as they're staging, right? And having to interrupt that pattern for them as well, aside from having to come out again, but just help keep them efficient in that process.
What cleaning services have you guys do people request that you can't do
Or won't do.
Well, won't do. You know, you mentioned that other companies won't do the drywall.
Won't do. I mean, depending on what type of hazardous material that we may be dealing with, there's some things we'd have to turn down. We don't do like meth cleanup. We've just not gotten into that, and I don't think I'm interested in doing that particularly. But I mean, we run across some things on occasion where we just don't have the means of disposing of certain items. Those would be like your more hazardous type jobs. Now, the good thing is we have contractors we can call for that, so we do have resources. We don't just have to say no, that's it. We say no,
so even
but
if you can't, you can still help somebody find the
absolutely.
right person to
Right.
do it.
There's
right.
always that subcontract need. So
Right. Cool. So, a lot of agents, they'll walk into a place when they're going to do an open house and last minute find that they have to clean something or other up. Do you have any tips or tricks or any advice on something they should always have on hand to help them kind of at that last minute moment there when they're like, oh, whatever it may be, it's got to be touched up?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually at a recent vendor fair, Melissa and I took some small bottles of glass cleaner along, and just like a purse size or something you can throw in your glove compartment.
Right.
And I would always recommend having a roll of paper towels, and I'm gonna just give a little props to Sparkle.
yeah.
Best paper towel we've
They're
found.
not sponsoring or endorsing this, however.
They are not, but they tend to not leave as much of the kind of
The lint.
paper towel
The
lint
dye, yeah.
behind.
Right.
So I would say a bottle of glass cleaner and a roll of Sparkle paper towels I would always have in my car. And really, you can wipe down just about anything with a glass cleaner
Right.
and a paper towel.
Right.
So even if you only have that, make that your emergency kit to wipe spots off of windows or freshen up mirrors, because that really
Or
makes
even
the
countertops,
impression.
it could be.
Absolutely.
Because don't most glass cleaners have like ammonia or something in them, which is pretty much a disinfectant, right?
Right, but then again, we have to be careful with the surface of the countertop.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of stone and granite and all that,
Can be badly affected.
You want to stay away from
correct.
that.
So
See,
if
I don't
in
know
that
much about that.
Well, little kudos to Theresa. She found the best way to make an awesome cleaner that you can use on anything, and it's simply orange essential oil and vinegar. And is there any water in it?
Yeah, it's mostly
and,
water.
and mostly water. And so it's safe for all surfaces. The orange essential oil breaks through any toughness.
Mhm.
So actually, that stuff is amazing for like stickers on mirrors.
Mhm.
So when you are doing a post construction that you're listing, and you might, the construction guy dreamed big and thought he could pull that sticker off, you're going to find those in those corners of those mirrors, right?
Yeah.
And that stuff, you just spray it, wipe it, and you're good. So even just like the not smudges, but just the stuff from having a new home,
Mhm.
those cleaning solutions will help, and just having it with you. I mean, you can really do a lot with it.
Very cool. So some good advice there. Now, you guys actually focus on the Indianapolis area here, right? If somebody wanted to find somebody like you guys in other areas, I know that you guys actually I said the Indianapolis area, but I think you told us earlier you go out about 60 miles in any direction.
Yeah, that's about our radius.
But if somebody's beyond that, are there any tips you got to help somebody find somebody like you guys in other areas then?
So for me, background in this world, right? So there's places like Angie's List and Home Advisor, obviously, but really talk to your neighbors, right? I mean, I have very much so been watching Theresa, this word of mouth. I came from this marketing world. I used to tell companies, build it, use your advertising. And then I see Theresa just word of mouth, right? And so now I see such a significant value, but I definitely think that talking to your neighbors, your friends is a great resource, and realtors as well. So
Yeah.
I would say that. Yeah. And realtors talk to each other a lot.
Mhm.
And you have these forums and groups on Facebook and other social media. That's been huge for us. And I would say, realtors have relationships with other realtors in other markets. So who do they use? My advice would just be make sure that they have proper insurance in place, get proof of that to protect yourselves and your clients.
That's the liability insurance.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
all
Make
that,
sure they've
right?
got general liability. If there's personal property on site, to be bonded is helpful because that, it would protect the client in the event of theft or anything like that.
Right.
But I mean, just at least the liability for a vacant property.
Mhm.
So that way you're not at risk if someone gets injured or damages property. So yeah, definitely would recommend that, and just vetting them a little. And then, the reviews that you see for those companies on Google and what have you, that carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
check their Facebook as well. That's Facebook has a
That's
rule.
where you're going to find the negative,
well,
right?
Yeah. So Facebook actually has a rule. They will not. Google, you can have. Google is great. It's a great resource. I love it. And but there are, as far as reviews go, right? There's some flexibility with what stays and what can go, right? And so Facebook is actually unbelievably strict on removing reviews. So you're going to get those really sometimes not so happy reviews, but you're going to be able to see that better.
Well, you're going to be able to see that, and you're also going to be able to see the response to it as well, right?
Exactly. So you're going to have those comments, people are tagging. Oh, yeah.
Right. Well, and in general, one of the things that, whenever somebody leaves a negative review, I'm looking online, whether it's on, Amazon or wherever, if the person that, the company that the negative review has been being left about doesn't respond to that.
Exactly.
That's a sign right there. I'm not so sure I'm going to work with them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Whereas if they do come in and they take this negative review and they try to turn it into a positive, you can at least see that they're attempting to. Whether or not they succeed is all dependent upon the person that's upset about it.
Yep.
To a large degree. But at least you can see that they're trying. They're taking it seriously, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great point.
The reality is, for those reviews, is I used to train companies how to respond to those sort of negative reviews. Negative reviews are not a bad thing necessarily. Right. What's a bad thing is when the company can't come back with a professional response and a way to solve the situation. And if you're seeing anything like that, those are always red flags when you're looking at a company to use, especially when you're, looking at your home and what's in it, right?
Right.
So
cool. All right. So before we wrap up here, do you guys have anything else that you want to add?
I would just say I'd like to thank all the realtors and investors that have trusted us so far. I mean, I started this company middle of the year last year, and we've blossomed and grown in ways that I could have never imagined within our first year of business. So, I mean, our goal is within 5 years to be franchising and having us a little bit of everywhere. So
if somebody's somewhere else and listening to this down the line, then maybe they can find you locally.
Maybe they can. Here, give us a little time, but definitely keep checking. They can always check our website for updates, our Facebook page. But yeah, I mean, just like I said, the word of mouth has been huge for us, and we so appreciate everyone that's given us a shot, and hopefully more of them will. So
cool. Melissa, anything?
Yeah. And I just want to kind of say that I know we have a 60-mile radius, give or take, but depending on the job, I mean, keep in mind that we will talk to you. And if we're able to make our way out there's a pretty good chance we'll make our way out there. So
do you want to, Theresa, go ahead and just put your website and maybe email or phone number out there for people to contact you?
That would be excellent. Yeah. So the best phone number is 317-416-3167. And really, you can call anytime or text, day or night. If I'm available, I will pick up.
If not, it'll go to voicemail.
Right, absolutely. And I'll return your call within a business day. Absolutely. And then our website is going to be www.clear2closecleaning.com. And that's a number 2 in there. Clear, the number 2, closecleaning.com.
All right, great. Kim, got anything else you want to add?
Just reminding agents to get to know people like this. You want to make that transaction as smooth as possible for your client, and these people are going to help you do that. So keep making those relationships and building on them and helping your clients.
All right, great. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Real Estate Marketing Minute. If you like what you see or hear, don't forget to click on the like and or subscribe buttons, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Marketing Minute. Make sure you don't miss an episode. Subscribe now. Want to take your real estate career to the next level? Check out agentsauce.com. Until next time.